taking a critical look at the gaming news of the week. This is Augmented Reality, presented by the Triple S League.
Okay, quick mic check. Pop, pop, popsicle. Ice, ice, icicle. Test, test, test 1, 2. This is the Augmented Reality Podcast, your source for news, leaks, and insights about games and the gaming industry. This is August 21st, 2019, the Wednesday night edition of the show. We are smack dab in the middle of Gamescom 2019, and it's like sifting through a truckload of information to find a single news articles that you folks would be interested in hearing. That's what my day's been like. Just sifting through. Not that it's all garbage. I shouldn't make. Did I say garbage truck? It's more like a dump truck of like valuables and a dump truck of precious gems to find the diamonds to give to all of you. So, I really shouldn't do metaphors on the fly like that.
Is it?
There's been a ton of info to sort through today. How are you doing this fine evening, Cybsidian?
I'm doing pretty good. It has been a whirlwind of the past few days. Literally everything is going sideways, so that is probably a good thing, because then you just kind of tilt your head and everything's back to normal. Mm-hmm. As long as you can maintain 90-degree walking, that's totally fine. So
there's an episode of How I Met Your Mother where with a couple, I can't even remember their names now. They move into like an apartment that's like slanted, built on a slant. And they walk in and they're like, something's wrong here. I can't put my finger on it. Everything's like slightly crooked. And then the camera shifts and then you realize, oh, it's the apartment that's slanted. And then they spend the rest of the episode like trying to justify living there. And they're like, yeah, we can just walk around with our heads tilted like this for the rest of the episode, or, for the rest of our lives or whatever. I don't know. I used to really be into that show. And then it broke my heart. If you're listening live this morning, please say hello in the live chat. Send us your questions and comments there as well. We will read and respond to as many as we can throughout the podcast. And don't forget to slam that like button. It likes it rough, and it tells us and YouTube that you appreciate this content. If you're listening after the fact on one of the audio-only platforms, we're glad you're here as well, and we appreciate your likes and follows. It does take us a day or two to get the podcast up to the audio platform, so if you want the latest info sooner, we encourage you to hit the link in the description to subscribe to the Triple S League YouTube channel. And let's see here. Hello, everybody. We've got the Neon Arcade in our chat. Hello, Tobias Shelby. Long live LaShawn23. Terror K, Time Bean. Notional, who's heading to bed because he's in Europe. What are you still doing up? Silver Shine, Trakiran, and Ghost Fixer, Ensign Barker, Titanium Weeb. Welcome to all of you. We have so much to go through today. We're going to, of course, be talking about Gamescom news. We're going to be talking about Death Stranding, Cyberpunk 2077, Greedfall. We're going to discuss Stadia a little bit, plus a number of games that you asked us to dig up some news on, so we've been able to do that on some of them. Some of them there is just no info right now, but there's some games that you're interested in that will be getting some special reveals shortly after Gamescom. So we'll go into all of that. First, we've got a couple of things to talk about that are unrelated to Gamescom. And one of those is BioWare, and BioWare in a bit of trouble. We know that we talked about it on a recent podcast, how the lead developer of Anthem just left. Well, they've just lost another important employee there. They lost Fernando Mello, the producer, senior producer of the upcoming Dragon Age title, codenamed Morrison, and we basically refer to it as Dragon Age 4. And so he announced that his last day was at BioWare on August 17th. After 12 years, he's moving on to we don't really know what. Other guy.
This is really bad news for the studio in general. This is like, Dragon Age 4 is literally their last chance, basically. They have made two disastrous games that have lost a lot of money. The money that they burnt on these last two projects has basically wiped the last three projects that were successful. So, like, just hold that in your mind. Now, combine this with the fact that they spent a whole bunch of money opening up a new studio in Montreal that they then closed after 3.5 years. They have just switched to a brand new building in their head office in Edmonton, Alberta, Canada. They are having some major issues with their southern studio, and they are basically running up against a wall. And if this game does not move a lot of sales, a lot of products, even if it does move a lot of products, a lot of copies, it's frankly at a point where they have lost so much money that they don't even know where to like go really from here. And EA is not, they're not messing around. They're like looking at it going, well, what on earth have you bothered to, what have you made that's helping us, right? That's the question. And the answer right now is, yeah, not much. Yeah, not much at all. So, so yeah, this is they are officially in trouble. They are officially staring down the barrel of a very not good company that loves to cancel studios that are not performing. I don't know what EA would do as far as any kind of an RPG if they suddenly lost BioWare. I think they would pretty much be. I mean, I don't even know what games they would be making at that point. Are they just going to rely on Respawn for everything? Like, how much have they now put themselves into the hole with everything? It's, and they don't. Yeah. So it's a mess. It's a mess. We've kind of beat the horse to numerous times, and we don't want to do that. So this is not good for the company. We don't know exactly where either of these head guys have gone off to. I don't think that either one of those has been made public. The first one, the guy who was in charge of Anthem, not exactly the brightest star there. So I really don't think that. I think he's just taken whatever job was available to him.
Well,
I mean, he was.
Yeah, Ben Irving. He went on to another job, but Fernando Melo. He's one of their. Said he has not. It doesn't sound like he's moved on to anything in particular. It sounds like he has just moved on. He said in his letter to BioWare, he said, "I need time to disconnect and to figure out what my next chapter would entail," is basically what he said. And so it doesn't sound like he's gone on to another job. It doesn't sound like he's gone on to, that he was headhunted like Irving was. I am kind of sure that he was. You think so?
Now, oh yes. So basically, the game that he was trying to create before EA basically came in, looked at what they were doing with Dragon Age 4 and said, this isn't flashy enough for us, and where's the monetization? Where's the microtransactions? Where's the battle royale, guys? Okay, this doesn't look like a game that is gonna make us billions of dollars. So change it. So yeah,
right.
That's basically what they've said, and that's basically kind of where they're leaning to. So at this point, I'm pretty sure that he got a job somewhere else because of the type of work that he was working on for the original project for Dragon Age 4. He was originally working on a system that incorporated brilliant use of new AI abilities to create and manage missions on the fly. There was a ton of companies that was interested in this kind of tech, and EA just walked in and trashed it. So, brilliant job there, guys. Good job. So I'm sure he's probably been in talks with a certain Mr. D. A certain Mr. D has been calling and saying, "Hey, we're looking for some of this tech that you might have been working on," but he's got to distance himself first officially before he could take a job like that. He's got to say, all right, I'm out of here. I'm going to take a couple months hiatus, and then I'm going to be magically picked up by this other company who's going to employ all of the tech that we were looking at before. Now, I don't know if it was Mr. D. It could be.
I don't even know who you're talking about.
Magnificent L. It could be Magnificent L as well. So either one of those, this is a good move, huge move. But yeah, this isn't something that we're going to see the immediate cause and effect of until probably like 3-4 years down the road.
Could it have been Senior Zero?
No, not Senior Zero. They haven't done anything recently. I don't know. No. Yeah, no. No, Mr. D and Mr. L are the fantastic L's, not Mr. L. That doesn't make any sense at all. So yeah, that's I believe where we're at with that. I suspect very strongly that he's got to do this first. He's got to take time off. They have non-compete clauses and stuff like that. So yeah, we'll see where that goes. So that's all. And now this is a fair amount of speculation on my part, so don't read too much into it. But yeah.
Yeah, well, I mean, I echo Tara Kawinigan's statement here. It sounds to me like he just burned out from all the BS, and that could very well be. It could be a culmination of that and other things. It could be that he got contacted by somebody. I mean, as I've said, there's a bit of speculation, but well, we'll have to wait and see.
Yeah.
All right. So another situation that's been going on this week. Some of you have been following it. I've been following it because I have been involved in producing a review for this particular game, and it's just a mess. It is just a mess what's going on with this game. So Ion Fury came out just a little while ago. I've been playing it, really loving it, but it has it's found itself mired in a bit of controversy, and the different controversy than the first controversy, which was about the name. Which was, Ion Maiden was the original name of the game, and then the band Iron Maiden came at them with a lawsuit, and they basically decided the best way to deal with it was just change the game's name. And anyway, so what's happened basically is I forgot to ask you if it's safe to say the name of this site, or if YouTube flags it, Cyb.
You mean Era?
Yeah.
Oh no, yeah, that is Reset Era is one of the great bastions of intellectual superior conversation and discussion. They are, without a doubt, one of the most amazing sites filled with people who really are gamers at their core. They play all the games completely.
Yeah.
And there's absolutely no BS there at all. And there's certainly no ulterior motives and or strong dislike for certain people who have unchangeables about them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. There's nothing like that. It's nothing like that. It's not like they make up, problems so that they can be the white knights to bring in the solution. Absolutely not. It is 100% a completely respectable site.
Mm-hmm. Neon Arcade says, LMAO, watch the algorithm push this hard now. Yes. Luckily, the algorithm can't detect sarcasm. All right, so brief rundown of the situation. So there was a couple of things that happened fairly simultaneously. One is that there was a graphic discovered in the game that was... there were actually two graphics that people discovered and were saying are offensive, and one of them contains a blatant slur. It was a graphic that some dev had hidden in the game out of bounds, but it was there. The game includes a no-clip cheat programmed in, so of course people were going to find this. So anyway, so that was discovered, and then there was another discovered, within the main part of the game. There's a parody of basically there's a lotion bottle. It's like a decorative item that can be found scattered throughout the game, and it's a parody of the name Olay, like oil of Olay lotion or whatever, and it says "Oh gay." So that was also, now I've seen a lot of debate about whether or not that's actually offensive, and most of the people I've seen who claim to be of that persuasion don't seem to think that there's any problem with it, but they were, people on Reset Era were saying it's a phobic slur. So anyway, also, actually, I think sparked by this, some people went and scoured the developers' Discord server and found some controversial statements. I'm not going to get into that because we will definitely get the algorithm's attention if we start talking about that kind of thing, but you're probably aware of what it was. And anyway, some controversial stuff. And so what happened? Well, news articles started reporting about this, and then the developers and the publisher, 3D Realms. So the publisher is 3D Realms, the developer is Voidpoint. They both put out statements saying, those typical, we apologize, those over the top, we're sorry if we hurt anybody's statements. And so they put those statements out, and some donations were made, some things started happening, and then it comes out that the developer is going to be patching out the offensive graphics. So then what happens next? A whole bunch of other people who were initially in support of the game are now threatening to boycott the game. Well, they are boycotting the game, and they're review bombing it on Steam and doing all these kinds of things because they're saying you should not cave to the outrage mob. So it is a big mess. It's a big mess. And it's been interesting, because I'm producing content for it, and I've got a review that has been, I've got the review pretty much written, and it's just been, I've been mulling over how to address this whole controversy within the context of reviewing this game. I think the game is really good. I mean, it's not perfect, but it's really good. It was going to get a really positive review from me. So here's the question. I mean, how much are we going to let this political stuff affect games? Affect what we're our opinions of these games. You had some thoughts about that side.
I am universally against censorship. I very much do not believe that it works. It always gives you the opposite effect. It always screws with something, and it's pretty dumb to do that. However, there's been a chain of some things. Now, the other things that there's been a lot of conflicting information. There's been one of I believe it was the publisher or the developer, one of the two. I think it was the developer came out and said, no, there's no jokes being removed. There's no censorship. There's just a correction to this one thing, and then a sprite being removed. Now, whether or not you want to call that, censorship or not, that's kind of up to you and your reaction to it. I am disappointed in it. I think it was kind of a dumb idea to try and censor it. I don't think that outrage people are customers. I really don't. And our numbers, the numbers on the stats show this. There has not been a single outrage / boycott that has worked, period, when people stand their ground. There is, however, reverse effect boycott that happen all the time. So there's been lots and lots of. No, I'm not gonna get into any of the stuff. It just simply is not. It's not worth kind of like going over and over and over and over. Mm-hmm. But yeah, for the most part, this is absolutely This is not a thing. It just doesn't work. So I don't know why companies keep, bowing to it. If they want to, like, if they feel that they did something wrong and they want to address it, I mean, by all means, go ahead. But as far as, like, wake up and smell the coffee, this stuff doesn't exist. And by trying to kowtow to it, you're basically just like admitting that you're weak, and I mean, we see the effect from this. Like, we really do. It's like they just made an announcement. They just made an announcement that there's going to be no host for the next big awards show in Hollywood. And a whole bunch of people that were on the list to receive awards are now off of the list because they made an offensive joke within the last decade and a half. Sometimes 2 decades. So at some point, you got to think, well, when is there going to be somebody left? Like, is there going to be anything left at all? So, I don't know.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, are you gonna scour through the beliefs of every developer on every game that comes out before you play it, or are you going to? That's the thing. I mean, if the requirement for appreciating and using a product is that you agree with all of the political, religious, or whatever beliefs of the person that created that product, or at least deem them to be within the realm of acceptability. I mean, if that's your standard, you might as well go live in a hole in the forest.
Yeah.
Except you'll want to research the people who invented shovels first before you go and dig that hole. But there's just no way. It's an unsustainable standard to keep. But there's certain hot button topics that people just get really passionate about. But on the other side of this, like, I don't like the developers' response to this necessarily.
Yeah.
But nor am I on the side of boycotting the game because of it.
Now, boycotts don't work. This is, again, the evidence for this is quite clear. It's just they just don't work. Reverse boycotts tend to work, meaning that a company comes out and says, "Oh, I'm sorry we offended you, but we're not actually really that sorry, and maybe you should just grow up." The last time a couple of companies said that, they had like a 400% increase on their earnings in that year. So a reverse boycott, because of that usually doesn't work. The one thing that does work is when you, a small developer, are getting spam called every 15 seconds, by, a small group of people who spend all day trying to learn how to harass you to the most effective format. And they just keep harassing you for no other reason than you are going to pay because they don't like what you are. It's like, great. That's just great. At what point are you going to be able to do anything? Are you going to get any work done? You have all kinds of things going on. You have life ruiner things going on, and it's disgusting. It's gross. Yeah. So I do understand how some people react to us because they're not capable of like putting up against that, trying to fight against that, because it is suffocating.
That is the thing. That is
really difficult to deal with.
We're talking about a very small developer. I don't know actually how big Void Point is, but that they don't have a Wikipedia entry. I've never heard of them before, so I mean, I don't think they're a very big developer. So, I mean, patching out a blatant slur that someone hid in there, that makes sense. I've got no issue with that. In fact, that is definitely the right thing to do. The lotion bottle brand parody thing, I am pretty sure I have seen that in a movie somewhere before. I'm like really positive. I said I don't know if like I might edit it somewhat, but I even wrote in my first draft of the review, if you saw this in like Family Guy or South Park, no one would bat an eye. Yeah. And in fact, I doubt anyone would have batted an eye at it if they hadn't found the other graphic first.
Yeah.
And then they went looking for stuff. But I agree with you. Like being a small developer that might be very susceptible to, harassment and headaches, is a small price to pay to, change that one graphic. I'm not saying I agree or think it should have been necessary, but I do get it. And I do want to give them a chance to defend themselves in their own words. So I've got some of their tweets here where they've been responding to people.
Okay, sure.
Basically,
I want to get off this.
Yeah. We'll get off this really quick, but
we have so much to cover. So
Void Point's claim is, we didn't really censor anything. We're swapping one joke for another one that fits the game world better, and deleting some BS a dev accidentally left outside of the playable area on the map. And this they put in response to people calling them out for censoring. Then they acknowledge it is somewhat censorship, but they say it is self-censorship, and I legitimately like what we replaced it with more than I liked what we put there in the first place. I don't know. Take that for what it's worth. It's your choice if you want to play the game, buy the game, support the developer or not. I'm not going to tell you one way or the other what to do. I am going to say that I'm personally not on the camp of boycotting this game for any reason, and I will be putting out a review very soon, so...
I disagree slightly because I'm a little peeved at their reaction to this, especially because, like, again, it boils down to the liars that report on this stuff to begin with, or complain about this stuff to begin with. The people who lie, the people who are deceitful, the people that are frankly disgusting, because there were a lot worse jokes in a lot other games, and they featured like a male protagonist. This one features a female protagonist, but just like a lot of people in the media that are women, and that they only get insulted with the really degrading, disgusting, like like commenting on their eyeshadow or their weight, going, "Oh my, well that person clearly doesn't know how to stay away from the Twinkies." It's just the really gross stuff. Like, wow, she has how many kids? I wonder if she knows what causes it. It's like that kind of stuff. The only people that happens to is one particular group of people, by the other group of people that make the most noise about trying to say that they protect that kind of stuff, that they're protecting women. That's where this stuff comes from the most, and it's really disgusting, and it really boils my blood. So that's the main thing, because this really comes off as sexist. Like, legitimately, I'm not talking about the way that a lot of people scream sexism, and it's kind of like they're just kind of virtual signaling or whatever. This is legitimate sexism. It's like, oh, she can't make this joke, but Duke Nukem can make like way worse jokes, and the same people still gave that game, I looked it up, still gave that game a 7 out of 10. So congratulations, person who was most likely bought off to give that horrible trash game a 7 out of 10 years ago, that today apparently doesn't have the same level of interest in maintaining anything. It's just gross. It's just gross.
I just realized I left off a big part of what happened.
Sure. Finish up and then
we'll sorry, this is the perils of doing a live show. I neglected part of the story. In response to the backlash by the second group of people wanting to boycott and talking about this all over the place, the Steam forums have been heavily censored. Mm-hmm. The Steam forums, and possibly, I don't know if other forums elsewhere on the net have been affected by this as well, but somebody is heavily censoring the Steam forums. Whoever the moderator that is there on the Steam forums is locking and banning people, like locking threads and banning people who even mention Reset Era and who talk about this. And the claim is that they're doing this in the name of just keeping things on topic. That's the claim. Keep things on topic, talking specifically, talking only about the game.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
But
right.
It sure looks like it's just damage control. And that is disappointing. And I don't know if it's the developer or the publisher that runs the forums there on Steam. I don't know who the moderator is, but that is disturbing. But at the same time, on the same token, I've been looking at some of the devs tweeting personally, and in response to someone who said, "I'm going to boycott this game, because of what you're doing, because of your self-censoring." One of the devs was like, you don't want to give us your money, you might as well pirate it. It's only 98 megs. We worked hard on this. Please, might as well play it. It's an awesome game. And so that just leads me to think that, like, the people at the development studio, they're not all of one mind on this. And I feel like the on-the-ground devs who worked hard to actually build this game are being punished for decisions made by people above them. And I hate seeing that. We see it all the time. We see it with EA, and now we're seeing it on a smaller scale with this. And so it muddies this situation even more for me. Bottom line, like I said, I don't believe in boycotting it. I think, like, we're keeping an eye on it. We'll see how the situation plays out. In a few months, I feel like the controversy is going to go away, but the game will still be there. That's my thought on it. And I mean, if the developer or publisher pulls any crap in the future, we're constantly harping on EA for their continued behavior. In this case, we're talking about an isolated incident, so personally, I'm not at the point where I'm like, let's write these guys off. But you're entitled to your own opinions on that. That's just sort of an overview of the situation. But let's get on to talking about Gamescom and more fun stuff. But we do love seeing everybody so active in the live chat. If you do want to keep the conversation going, talking about these topics or anything else after the live broadcast, we welcome you to join our Discord community. You can find the link in the description below. It's a place where you can chat with us and other Triple S fans about all the things we love to talk about and stay up to date about everything we're doing here at the Triple S League. Another thing you'll find in the description is an affiliate link to Toy NK Toys, a great website full of collectibles, clothing, costumes, games, and tons more stuff. Recommend you check it out if you're in the market for some stuff from your favorite IPs. They've got tons of your favorite gaming IPs. Also things like Rick and Morty, Pokemon, Star Wars, My Hero Academia, God of War, The Witcher. Basically, you can find almost anything there. You can find almost any fandom that you're a part of. You'll probably find something. ToyNK.com. Use our affiliate link, and then we get a kickback from that if you choose to buy something. All right, on to Gamescom. So let's knock out Stadia first.
Just because that way we can kind of keep negative things together. So Stadia, they have invented this amazing new system that allows them to group thousands of machines together to allow you to play games that you've never experienced before. And to celebrate this, we are launching Stadia with games that you could basically play on your normal run-of-the-mill Android phone.
Yeah, I looked up a list.
Basically, that's it.
Yeah.
So they've got like one or two like AAAs, including Cyberpunk. Good for you. Good for you. The majority of the games that you have announced are basically indie games that do not even utilize. I think there's one game that utilizes like the server capacity and like the top capacity of what they can do. So if they were wanting to like announce this thing and like bring it in with a bang at Gamescom, they really failed because these games are terrible. Like not terrible as in like they're bad games and you shouldn't play them. No. Most of them are good games. They're terrible for the system, for the hardware. It's like you've got a bunch of like small indie games that can literally run on like a 5-year-old like smartphone. Like really, it's just garbage. Like legitimately. I really don't understand. this is so bizarre that they're going for this. They're going for this game, a lot of this game lineup that doesn't utilize what supposedly is the best thing about this system. So I don't know why I I don't get it. I don't get it at all. If I like, clearly somebody was asleep in the like marketing and planning department, because they're like, right, go out, get a whole bunch of games that we can like showcase this technology off to. Awesome, right on it, boss. So games. So basically just a bunch of indie titles. Sure, cool, awesome, cool, great, great.
Well, yeah, at their Stadia or at their Gamescom presentation, the list of games that they included there include Attack on Titan 2, Cyberpunk 2077, as you mentioned. It's got, a couple other AAAs like Watch Dogs Legion, but then you got Destroy All Humans, Gods and Monsters. Actually, I'm not sure what level that one's at. Orcs Must Die 3. That's an exclusive.
Which is the only one that offers like hundreds and hundreds of units on the screen at the same time.
Right.
It's the only one that could potentially make use of their so-called amazing engines and technology and hardware and stuff like that.
Which is,
but keep going.
It's still like these horde games, unless you've got thousands and thousands of units. These horde games, the technology has gotten good enough that games like Fortnite and Orcs Must Die 2 could run on an ordinary PC just fine. I don't know. Super Hot, Windjammers 2, and Kine, whatever that is. Kine. Yeah. And then I was looking through the other, you can find lists of. I found another list of about 30 games that had been previously announced. And yeah, there's nothing on there that seems technically impressive.
I do not understand who is the market for this technology. I've been having a hard time like trying to figure out who the market for this is. So so you have to buy the package, and then you have to pay a subscription service that's pretty high. And you have to keep playing that and paying that in order to pay. And the minute you stop paying, you lose access to all your games.
Mm-hmm.
So
literally,
you might
like
say,
Netflix
well,
for games.
So it's like, well, it doesn't cost as much as a brand new console. It's like, okay, so it's being aimed for people who don't have that much in their budget. Yeah, that's what it's being aimed for. Okay, so those people can afford the reoccurring high cost of the subscription service. And it's like, well, no, they're not going to be doing, they're not going to be paying for that. It's like, okay, right. So then they're targeting wealthy people, because people on the poorer end, they're just going to buy an older console secondhand at $20 at like $200 tops, and they're going to get like 20 or 30 like cheap old games with it. Yeah, okay, so sure. That's one way of looking at it. Or you can look at it from a different way, kind of going, well, if this is to add to the list of people who have a lot of money to throw around on this kind of stuff, then you're just adding another subscription service to yet another thing that they're paying for. Which, if they have that kind of money to throw around, then why would they be bothering playing or paying any of this for? Like, why not just use their massive $4,000 computer? I don't know who they're trying to sell this thing to. I don't know who's going to be the market for this, because it's really expensive on one hand, and on the other hand, it's dirt cheap. And so, and again, you have to have fiber, like good optical fiber internet, super high speed for this thing to be even remotely good. If you're out in the boonies, or if you're out in in an area that doesn't have fiber yet, you're still on like DSL or like some other really crap internet. You're not going to get any use out of this thing. It's going to be terrible. So who are they selling this thing to? Because to me, at first glance, it looks like they're selling it to literally nobody.
Seems like it would appeal to very casual gamers who happen to have really good internet, which seems like a pretty narrow market.
But not a console and not a computer. I really don't understand. They're launching with no titles that are standout, that are like huge, that are like, hey, look at this! This amazing title is a limitedly exclusive here. Get it now. It's like they're not doing any of that.
Let me play devil's advocate for a second. Now, what if someone were to argue, well, of course, those games don't exist yet. Like, games that can utilize the power of this platform, they don't exist because the platform wasn't there. But now that it's going to be out there, developers are going to be able to make games that use this.
Yeah, I'm sure that'll happen right away. Next 6 months, we're going to get an amazing list of games. You know, I was told the exact same thing with VR. The exact same thing with VR. It took almost 2 years for VR to get anything worth utilizing.
Okay, but in 2 years, let's say...
Aside from VR chat, which is, again, it's not so much... That's not a gameplay thing. That's a meet crazy people and funny lollies game. That's basically all that is. So, which is hilarious, to be honest. I watch a couple of the streams of that. It's really, really funny. But, yeah, no, I don't get who they're trying to sell this to because it doesn't make sense to me. And as far as developers go, it's like, yeah, okay, they'll start on it, they'll start trying to get around to it, but you're looking at like a 3-4 year wait period at the very least to get anything that's like top drawer.
And you'll have to convince those developers that this will have a massive audience in order for that to be worth it.
I mean, there are perhaps some games, like maybe what Cyberpunk will do is they'll give a special copy to them, and they'll basically just bump up the graphics and the all the other stuff to just ridiculously high levels, and just add so many NPCs that would normally make any machine choke. Maybe that's what they're going to do. So I
could be.
I really don't get it though.
I mean, we'll really have to see. It's not something I'm particularly interested in personally. I mean, well aware I don't speak for all gamers, but yeah, I don't know. I agree. I don't know who they're trying to sell this to exactly. All right. We had a huge showing at Gamescom from Death Stranding. Hideo Kojima was there to massive fanfare. Yeah, I mean he's a pretty big icon in the industry. I was watching a video that was like, maybe we're like getting into the realm of hero worship. I don't know if this is healthy, but anyway, massive icon in the industry, and we learned a lot more about some of the characters, and we got, I shouldn't say a lot more, because I mean the thing about every reveal of Death Stranding thus far, it seems like the more information you get, the more questions you have. It's kind of, I mean, I still have so many questions about what this game is actually about. But we are getting bits and pieces that sort of are cluing us in, and so we'll go through a couple of the scenes that they went through there. And also, we saw some gameplay. We'll talk about that. But what were your overall impressions, Cyb, of the Death Stranding reveal? They spent they spent a half hour on it. There was quite a lot.
Yeah, there's a lot of talking and back and forth. So Jeff Keighley is now in the game. Not his voice, but his face is. That's kind of funny and really hilarious. So that's good. But I'm not exactly. I'm not really. I'm not really like. I don't know what's the word. I still want to see like a proper like full gameplay. I understand he's a legend and he's really been pushing this stuff, and I've been right on a lot of this guesswork about this thing up to this point. But I still, until I'm like absolutely sold on it, I just need to see a full 2-3 hours of gameplay, the story, and starting like I'm kind of putting everything together in my head, and we'll see where this goes. This is definitely a new thing. Looking forward to it very much so, especially now that it's not going to be a PlayStation exclusive anymore. That is I called that like 2 years ago.
They're looking. That's looking fairly certain. They definitely didn't.
It's looking. They did not mention it at all.
The only time they mentioned PlayStation was when they talked about the PlayStation motion controller.
Yes, and that was it. So
yeah,
I gotta say that this is looking hilarious and awesome. So I'm still excited for it, even more so now that I think we're gonna be able to. I think we're gonna end up getting it on the PC. Don't know about the Xbox, but I'm pretty sure that it's gonna end up on the PC at some point, relatively shortly, soon after launch or at launch. Really excited for it. Really liking a lot of the concepts that the game has. The overall showing was pretty cool, but again, we were left with a lot of the same questions again, right? Mm-hmm. So we're getting more and more of an idea into the concept. We're getting more and more of the kind of feel for the game and the direction. So far the story is really morbid. Like all those babies that they use, they only live for a year before they die. It's like, ooh, yikes. Yeah. And that's a year tops.
Yeah.
It's
so
like
what we got is we did get some insight into the purpose of the baby. We knew before they were called bridge babies. And so we're in this world that you have the real world, and then you have this other side realm, which is like the abode of death or whatever. And so we found out how the babies bridge this, and actually there's a character called Deadman, who is the likeness of Guillermo del Toro.
Yeah.
And now the acting is done by someone else, the voice acting at least. But there's a scene where he's explaining to the main character, how this all works. Basically, these bridge babies come from what are called still mothers, who are mothers that, for whatever reason, they're brain dead, but they're still alive physically, like their bodies are still alive. Mm-hmm. And he gives us this quote: "A still mother's womb facilitates a connection between the world of the dead and the bridge baby. And you in turn connect yourself to a bridge baby, granting you the ability to sense BTs." Now, BTs are these invisible creatures that are like on the other side, but they're like still a danger to the real world.
They're causing a lot of the death and destruction, and they can pull you in and over to the other side, and it's all kinds of weird. And
but when you're
dead, you can resurrect on the other side. In some cases, it's like I said, the details are fascinating, and I really need to see this like play out. Because right now it's like,
I agree with some of the sentiments in the chat, like and even watching the live chat while I was watching the preview, or not the preview, but while I was watching the the live stream. It's like, this is messed up. And yeah, it is. Yeah, now we don't have the full context, but yes, it's really messed up. But I mean, that might be the point. It seems like, because then you have Deadman explaining that these bridge babies, they live at most like a year. And he's like, you have to remember, they're just equipment and this kind of a thing. It seems like Norman Reedus' character doesn't like that idea. And I think, if I were to speculate, I would speculate that part of the game is going to be about your connection to the bridge baby and, him wanting to save that baby's life. I just got some hints from the trailer, or from the... it wasn't a trailer. I got some hints
I've been feeling that for a while.
Yeah,
now,
so
I agree.
So I think that, it is messed up, but maybe the point is that it is messed up, and you want to try and make it better. So that's that was an interesting bit, though. So we know why he's been carrying around this baby. It actually, gives him the bridge through to the other side that allows him to detect these monsters. Now that we got another character introduction, another cutscene with a character called Mama. And you see her, she's on the right side of the thumbnail today. Now, she is called Mama because she has a baby. Her baby was born on the other side. We don't know how or why or what the hell that means, but the baby is like in that sort of invisible ghostly state, and so she can't feed her baby. She can like hold her, kind of a thing, but it's a really weird scene. But the baby, can't eat or anything, so the baby is still connected to the mother, who's in the physical real world, by the umbilical cord. And
and she can't leave a certain area, otherwise it'll kill the baby. So like,
that's interesting. Like, does that mean that
it's so bizarre? Again, this is really weird, and I kind of don't want to focus too much on this because again, it's a lot of speculation that we just don't really know and understand properly at the moment. So yeah, this is basically, I mean, it's going to probably be it's going to be a very confusing story. It's going to be filled with lots of things that most people are not going to really understand, but it is going to be deep. If you know who Trigger is, Trigger does a lot of the same kind of like story and content stuff where it's like, you're sitting there going, what the WTF is going on here? Like, where is this coming from? What exactly is going on? I don't understand this. But by the time you get into the series, sometimes it turns out really good, perfect. Super on point, great story, makes sense, really deep. Guru Logon, I can never say that name correctly. Kill la Kill, that kind of stuff. Yeah, interesting. Then other times, kind of like, we're going to space now? Yes, we're going to space. Because why? Because Trigger. Okay, yes, because Trigger. It's that kind of stuff going on. So,
Commander James Shepard says, the Mama is played by that lady who gets in Brad Pitt's car in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Yeah. So, I'm fascinated by the story of this game. And we'll get on to talking about the gameplay in a sec here, but there was a rather funny moment of realization while I was watching the Mama scene, because the baby is connected to her by the umbilical cord, and obviously there's still some physicality there, so I'm like, okay, so she's tethered by this cord that runs from the baby's belly button to the mother's belly button, and I was like, wait a minute, that's not where it connects to on the mother. So she is she's walking around with
demonetized.
She's walking around with a ghost of an umbilical cord all up in her business.
All right, so moving on to something more family friendly for the YouTube advertisers.
So the gameplay, though, there's been some mentions that the gameplay looks a little boring. I've seen it in the chat here. I've seen it elsewhere.
Yeah.
I agree. What we've seen so far does look boring. It looks like there's going to be some puzzling elements, but all we've seen is Norman Reedus walking around in the wilderness, and then we saw him.
We have not seen the.
We saw him.
We know that there are weapons. We know that in the scene that they showed off that you can unlock weapons, and weapon modes are now active. We know that this has been built on a combat-based type game for a while now. So again, we haven't quite seen exactly where everything is going with this yet, but we are getting there. So so just hold your horses. It's coming. It's coming. It's coming. It's kind of like it's like the undead in Game of Thrones. Every time what's his name shows up, he goes, yeah, they're coming. And it took them like 7 seasons to get there, or however many it was. Took a really long time, and so you can feel about it how people feel about it. So yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, I can only hope that Kojima is holding back just teasing.
Oh yeah,
it off.
he's definitely been holding stuff back, and he's very good at game stuff. So yeah, but you're right. So far, there's been a lot of like nothing really too spectacular. And I mean, seriously, who needs a weapon when you have a ladder that can instantly go like 200 feet? So I would just hold that thing kind of on the side, then press the go button, and just like launch that thing into whatever enemy is there, because I'm pretty sure having a ladder suddenly magically appear through your stomach is not going to allow you to have like healthy anything. It's like yeah, not going to happen. Most likely not going to happen.
Yeah.
So
we've only seen the ladder. We've only seen the ladder as far as whatever his special abilities are. He's got that huge pack on his back. So there's got to be more stuff in there. We just don't know what it is yet. So, but you're right. I mean, initially it did look like this was going to have a heavy combat focus. So we haven't seen any of that yet. We haven't really seen much about Mads Mikkelsen's character. So, I mean, they showed us instead the urination mechanic, which is like, WTF.
It's,
And it made a mushroom grow. That's like, please, Kojima, tell me you're just holding back on us. You're just messing with us. Tell me you're messing with us.
He's definitely messing with us. It's clear. That's quite clear. So yeah, if you're losing sleep over this game like Ash is, I would recommend that you watch some Gurren. I can never say that. Gurren Lagann, and maybe some Kill la Kill. And yeah, you can kind of get prepared for trying to follow along this kind of plot. There's a couple other ones that are pretty good, but yeah, it's probably about the best advice I can give you.
Okay, we should probably talk about Cyberpunk, and then we'll talk Greedfall, and then we'll talk about some of the games that you requested in our Discord server earlier today. But Cyberpunk, we have new screenshots, including a couple of screenshots from NVIDIA that feature the ray tracing, and one of them, you see one of them in the screenshot today, or in the thumbnail today. The left side of the thumbnail is one of those screenshots. Now, aside from this, there really hasn't been much that has come out of Gamescom regarding Cyberpunk 2077. There were a few interviews, but they talked about multiplayer. They talked about New Game Plus and how they're still looking for ideas for that. They're talking, I was reading articles saying, multiplayer might not be ready at launch. Well, yes, well, we already knew that. I don't know. I couldn't find much that was new. I don't know if I missed it because there was a ton of info that that's been coming out. But it sounds like the gameplay demo that they're featuring, is the same one. It's the same slice of the game that was at E3. It's not the exact same recording or anything like that, but it's the same slice of the game. And presumably, this is going to be released to the public.
Which we already knew.
Yeah. So not much new, but they did release some screenshots. So we're gonna go through those. If you're watching on YouTube, if you're watching live or after the fact on YouTube, you can watch the video now, and we'll actually put up some of the screenshots. This is one of the ones from NVIDIA featuring the ray tracing, and unfortunately, it's kind of low res. Because I pulled it off of Twitter. I couldn't find a higher res version of it. But so you've got this lady in the foreground smoking a cigarette. It looks really good.
Yep.
Would I have
ray tracing tends to do that.
It does. Now I don't know if looking at this in a vacuum if I would have said, hey, this image has ray tracing, but the lighting does look really good. And so if the, if the graphics look like this, that's spectacular. But yeah, now this is cropped a little bit. I can scroll it a bit. This lady's got a tattoo, but I don't know how much this
the character customization is much higher now. It has been a significant increase across the board as far as like items, character apparel, hairstyles. I remember I pointed out the hairstyles in the first gameplay trailer that they put out, also through the other trailer that they put out, how there was a lot of similarity. Clearly, there's a whole bunch more. I'm seeing some hats, like we see what appears to be a hat on that other character in the dark over there. So yeah, just a lot of really good stuff is clearly moving this way. So
yeah, it is amazing to me how much stuff the studio has had to make for this game. Just how much stuff, how many 3D models that they've had to model,
yeah,
texture.
They've been going nuts on it. So
yeah, it's pretty crazy. But yeah, with this haircut, she almost looks like she belongs in ancient Egypt or something. This haircut and outfit. All right, so another ray trace shot from NVIDIA. This one of a dude on a motorbike. I don't know if that's supposed to be male V. He doesn't have the collar thing that he usually has, but anyway, this looks freaking fantastic.
Yeah, absolutely.
This
we've got the jacket, we've got the style. We're really seeing some cool effects here. So yeah, this is all good.
Yeah, they've deliberately picked scenes with lighting. You see that there's fire sort of in the midground there, and some fog in the background, and then some lights on the bike here. I mean, yeah, the lighting does look fantastic, but yeah, I don't know what is more to say about that than just it looks great. And so I mean, if the ray tracing,
I think the bike is going to become everybody's favorite mode of transportation, just because of how they've been featuring it as prominently as they have been. So this is like I said, this is nothing but a good thing. I think we can clearly see that they're putting in a lot of work into making that motorbike function the best. I think that's a good thing, and I think that'll certainly help with the driving, because there's going to be a lot of driving stuff in the game. And the other thing that's kind of cool is that you can stop and talk to people directly. So that's pretty.
Yeah,
that's
without
pretty
getting
darn
off the
awesome
bike,
too.
you can talk to people without getting off your bike or out of your car. So yeah, that's cool. And bikes in games are great because they're usually faster and more maneuverable than cars.
Yeah.
When you have a choice. Yeah, I do like the damage on the concrete. Those little touches they add so much. I'm a little disappointed with how the fire looks. Like it looks like CG particle fire. It doesn't look like real fire.
That's been I don't fire. Trust me, I have seen them replicate fires digitally that you have show up in real life scenarios and situations. Real life fire is never as cool as video game fire for when they're wanting to use it for lighting effects, a bunch of other stuff. It just doesn't. It just the more realistic fire gets without it being a full on blaze is just it's just not very helpful. So
yeah.
Anyways, moving on.
Okay, so now the rest of these, we've got 10 more screenshots that were released directly from CDPR. You can find them on cyberpunk.net.
Move to the next one here.
Yeah, I'm on the next one. This is the boxing one. And so we've got this dude in the lower foreground on the left here. We'll see him a couple of times in these screenshots, and holy crap, he's massive.
Just a bit.
He's just like, he looks like he belongs in D&D. Like he's part orc or something, part cave troll. But yeah, so we see the boxing ring here with the robot, the dude boxing the robot, and this is one of those circumstances where you could hack that robot if you are a netrunner or have the hacking skill. You could hack that robot, increase its strength so that it knocks the dude out if you want. So that'll be one of those things. Of course, just make sure that this behemoth with the shotgun in the foreground doesn't see you there. Next, we've got another shot featuring Sasquatch here. And this looks like later on in the Sasquatch fight. She seems to no longer have her hammer.
I don't think this is Sasquatch. I think this is just one of the NPCs that looks somewhat like her.
You think so? Because I thought you see that sign positive. In the background kind of looks like that sign that we see her bashing through the other in the other screenshot. But
again, to me, it's like it doesn't really ring to be her. So I'm not like don't quote me on it, but I looked at that and my first reaction was different Sasquatch style lady.
Neon Arcade is saying it is Sasquatch. She throws her hammer at one point. So
okay, all right.
Let's see. I'm just zooming in here to see. I mean, it's the detail on her is a little bit lower.
Yeah, it's the coloring effect really like is kind of putting her like all her skin and everything is in a completely different light. So the color is all off, and that's why it's like it doesn't look like her. But again, this is like an explosion effect going off and messing with the color and visuals and whatnot. So,
it's explosion going off behind her with the sparks and stuff, that looks really cool.
Yeah.
All right. So next we're in the hallway with a bunch of the I'm guessing, I think this is the Animals gang and we're in the Animals hideout, or is this the Voodoo Boys? I don't know. Anyway, bunch of dudes in a hallway, and you can see it says Netwatch Agent 103 meters. So, presumably we're on our way to meet somebody. Now, it kind of looks...
There's several of them. There's one off to the right. There's one on the floor above. The quest that you're currently tracking is to find the agent in the cinema. It's kind of cool how they've got some of the stuff going on here. So, it's got the up to the left there. It says Placid. I think that's probably a song. And yeah, you've got a little mini map. I believe this is our first look at the actual mini map, what we're getting with it.
Yeah,
you can see that we've got, it's doing the 3D outline of the buildings, and we can see the enemies or the units within the area, and we can see that on the mini map. So that's pretty cool. I like that.
Yeah.
It's looking good.
I think what was in the top right there, like Placide is the name of a character in the game. So
maybe
she or he is probably talking to you via your sat link or whatever.
It's either that or music, so one of the two.
And presumably this is without ray tracing, but the lighting here, I mean, it's a very dark shot, but it still looks good. The reflection on the wall on the left there, it looks pretty awesome. All right, let's just move on to the next one so we're not taking forever here. So this is what I love about this shot. We've got the two guys playing the game. You can tell it's CG, but this looks like a bunch of real people standing around.
Yeah, I've seen this before.
Like the people they just look like ordinary people. They don't look like video game characters to me. They just look like people. So that
every one of them has a different pose. None of them are like mirroring the pose of the other person. Again, there's the style does seem like I'm hoping to see more cyberpunk-y style. I think this is kind of like the same area. This is probably in the first area of the game, but there's very little cyberpunkish stuff going on here in this for these people. And it's probably because they're on the low end of the of the totem pole, because you can see that nothing is not quite clean in there. There's like junk all over the floor. There's they're probably doing some gambling there. So it's what can you surmise from that? So there's so nobody's walking around with like augments all over their face or their head, or other stuff, limbs replaced with bigger, better metal, more metal-y ones. So,
that's right. We don't see a lot of cyber augments here.
Yeah, no. So it's really interesting, and again, it's like we're going to see this. There's people who can't quite afford it, right? Yeah. And they're and that puts them at a significant disadvantage. So,
And this game, someone mentioned, looks like Mancala. It does look like Mancala, but it's got these huge pebble.
Really,
So
really big balls.
Yeah. But we do see some arcade games in the background. Maybe we'll be able to play them.
I'll be here all weekend. Don't forget to tip your waitress.
Right. So, anyway, I mean, this kind of looks like a fun place to hang out. All right, and next we've got the file name on this one.
For the censors and the family friendliness, there is clearly a paint job going on, or what do they call those shows where they go in and the home reno shows? It's like clearly they're just renovating that.
They're
place.
renovating that building in the background. Yep.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, they're renovating that building in the background. They've said, hey, you know what we're going to do? We're going to take out that wall. We're going to open it up. You're going to have a nice, good view. We're just going to get rid of that wall, open it all up, let the building breathe. That's what's going on here. That's totally what's going on here.
This part of the city just looks amazing.
Now, speak about cyber augments. This fellow here's got a number of them, so
he does.
That's good to see. Yeah. So,
and I like that he's just completely unconcerned about things exploding off in the distance.
It's not exploding. It's renovating.
There's controlled explosions, right?
Yeah.
Anyway, see some of the nature here. The foliage looks really good.
Yeah, lots of good greens on this one.
And then we have this next one here. We see a car in the foreground. I believe this one was called An Ordinary Day in Pacifica, was the file name. So this is the Pacifica district of the city, I believe. But anyway, just some ordinary people on the street, and we've got a car here that looks like kind of a sports car-ish thing. And for a second, I thought that said Stadia in the background on the right. Like this is Gamescom happening in Night City, 2077. Gamescom 77. But no, that's something else.
I believe that's the arena there.
Mm-hmm.
So,
and somebody was asking if there was going to be. Someone in our Discord asked. Let me see if I can find the exact question here. But So, anything else that draws your attention about this picture?
Yes. There is. I correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe this is the first. Other than the initial trailer, I believe this is the first time we actually see a child in the game, just out in the open.
Mm-hmm.
Correct me if I'm wrong. Either you or
well, Neon says, why does the dude sitting on the curb look so small? And then he clued in.
So I was trying to make that point. It's clearly a child, and
that's funny.
Yeah, so this is yeah. So I believe this is the first time we're seeing a child in the gameplay, because I really don't remember, but I could be wrong on that. It has been one of those like terabyte days, so going over all that data is a little foggy. It stretches the senses a little bit.
Yeah. Now, Made in our Discord chat asked, will there be an Arena Coliseum separate from the boxing minigame? Will there be a fight circuit?
That is a good question. It's a really fun. I cannot remember the last one other than Star Wars Old Republic 2.
Okay.
So I really like the fight circuit kind of stuff. I love it. There was a mod in Skyrim, added it right away. Oh no, yeah, and then Fallout 70. Fallout 4 has a type version of it as well.
There was something similar, like The Witcher had one. It was like more of a street fighting thing, but you would go around and just fight the champions of the region.
Yeah, I love the Coliseum and the fight sequence stuff. It's all pretty cool. Yeah. And you're like, yeah, I'm the champion. Then you walk out in the city and everybody's like, who are you?
Yeah,
and you're like, I'm the champion.
The funny thing.
And they're like, They're like, I don't know who that is. You can stop drooling all over my store shop now. So
Well,
like,
I wonder if there's going to be a reputation level in Cyberpunk 2077. It's something that's in Cyberpunk Red. You have a reputation score that can affect. It gives you role modifiers if you're interacting with people. And so, like at level 1, a few limited people know your name. Level 5, the whole city knows who you are, and like if you get up to level 10, you're like a household name worldwide. Everybody knows you. It'd be cool. I mean, it might be pretty complicated to incorporate that kind of thing in a game of this scale, but it'd be cool if they had something like that. All right, so this next one, honestly, this screenshot looks like crap, but we do see a character here, Netwatch Agent, and looks like the quest you're doing is called Pattern Recognition. You see that up at the top right. Your mission is to confront the agent, so... And we also see the mini-map in the bottom left again, and the Netwatch Agent, of course, is saying, that's what they call outsiders brought in for special jobs. Floor rags. So, yeah.
Right. It's like, great. That's
It's like, thanks for that,
Yeah. Thanks a lot. That's real special. Yeah. So, overall, interesting. We could tell that we're going to be... This is going to be lots of quests and stuff like this, so yeah, it makes sense, and it's kind of cool, and kind of excited for it as far as like, seeing where this particular quest goes, because I don't know if you all know, but I love pattern recognition. That is I do that stuff for fun in the evening, so yeah, when I'm entering my energy recycle. So
this next one,
it's pretty awesome though.
Yeah. So this next one we see Placide. Whose name we
Oh
saw in the previous
sorry,
screenshot.
I did screw that up. Yeah, that is Placide. That is a character. That's not a song.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yes, very very interesting. Yeah. I remember because I was looking over this earlier and going, yes, okay. So this is a guy who's like, who's doing tech and he's kind of like he's a bit of an insider. He's got info. He gets people hooked up with particular gear and stuff. You can kind of tell that from this conversation that they're having here. Definitely a custom job, that van, recording all your handiwork, that kind of stuff. So yeah, it's cool. And again, unlike that other picture I mentioned a while ago, lots of augments here. You can tell he's got some augments. His bodyguard behind him has got, a number of augments. So yeah.
Dude, that's Johnny Silverhand.
Cool.
I was going to point that out, but...
Oh, sorry. Yes. No. I meant. No. I meant.
I was gonna say you can see Johnny Silverhand.
No. This is the other picture that released a couple of weeks ago. So yes. Fucking. I mean, buckets. It's a long day. So, no, that's not what I was gonna point out. In this one, I was gonna point out that he's the computer that he's using. And then that you're hooked up to kind of the same thing.
Yeah.
So you're transferring data between the two computers. This is because you can't transfer. This was my original point before I completely forgot and got distracted by Johnny's ghost. This is how you transfer data because there is no internet. You can't just email the guy the stuff. You've got to carry the info into the place, hook up into his computer, and then he reviews it straight from there. So that is how this is set up, and this is really kind of cool. So, hitting on that again. I tried to give these papers a read, but I cannot make out very much of what's on those papers. I suspect that they're probably just gibberish or unlegible anyway. So, but we'll
find out when we play the actual game. The other thing I noticed about this is that. I mean, this is an example of where if you have a certain skill level, you have certain dialogue options open to you. Like it says 5 of 4 to say definitely a custom job, that van. So looks like you have to have a certain technical skill or mechanical skill. But yeah, Johnny, so I found an article pointing out how terrible Johnny Silverhand looks in this picture. It does look like he's kind of painted onto that wall. and he's partly
a
transparent.
little bit. It's the visual effect, right?
Yeah.
Nobody can see him except for you. He has to look like that. Otherwise, it just doesn't flow very rightly. So
I'm not prepared to judge just based on this screenshot how he's going to look. Because he is kind of in the background. He might be glitching out a bit. Like, who knows, right?
Yeah. So we'll see, obviously, when we get closer. And, of course, yeah.
Next, we've got, here's our massive, I don't know if it's the same guy, but he sure looks similar with the shotgun and everything. And it looks like he's taking care of business. Mm-hmm. A lot of dead people.
That hair, absolutely, that looks so healthy. It's like, dude, I want to get some chemo.
This guy's name should be...
Suffered a bad round of chemo there, dude, seriously. So, yes, this is actually part of the other scene you see there on the right. That's the boxing gym set up. So this is the same kind of area, not necessarily the same room, but the same kind of area.
Right.
And, yeah, so these guys are basically, we're training and we're doing stuff, and then you came in and started to shoot the place up from some odd reason as the player in the game.
Well, he looks like he's staring you down. I can't tell if he's going to attack you or if he's just like, yeah, I killed all these people. What are you going to do about it? I don't know. Out of context. Then we've got this final one with like a dude talking on a cell phone, which is really, really weird.
Because that's, of course, the one that you want to leave off with.
Yeah.
He's got an augmented hand. This is the one that I was thinking about earlier. Still, again, that Coliseum right there. So this is still that kind of same area. So they've been showing off a lot of this. This is probably where all the demo has been taking place. I can't wait to get our hands on this footage and actually check it out.
Yeah.
In first person. So yes.
I mean, yeah, there's not much to this shot, but I do want to say, his hair looks really good. The clothing, the fabric.
Lots of improvements to the hair and the clothing.
The clothing, the way the fabric flows and, the wrinkles in it and stuff looks really good. So, yeah, I think we're in for just a spectacular looking game.
Yep, absolutely.
All right. So those are the Cyberpunk 2077 screenshots that have come out of Gamescom. Of course, if there's any more that has come out of Gamescom by Saturday, by the time we do the Saturday podcast, Saturday morning, we'll, of course, update you with a lot more.
I'm sure there'll be something. There's still, I think, one or two more interviews slated. Now, what happens sometimes is the interviews get recorded and then they're not due out for a little while yet. So
yeah, that happened a ton.
Yes, we'll be getting a ton of drip over the next couple of weeks. Over the next couple of days until we get to PAX next week, and we will get the gameplay stuff. And then we're going to see more, probably going to see significantly more content. Probably going to start seeing some commercials come later this fall. So I'm really excited for that because I can't wait to start seeing those pop up on the YouTubes and other places. So yeah.
Mm-hmm. All right, so that's gonna be exciting. Actually seeing that new gameplay. So we have that to look forward to. Continuing on with our coverage of Gamescom here, we got some new info about Greedfall. I kind of stumbled into by accident. I believe they featured this in I believe it was the Xbox showcase. Don't quote me on that. I'm not 100% sure. I'm also not 100% sure that this is 100% new info, but it goes beyond what we talked about when we talked about the Greedfall info last podcast. So I thought I'd bring it here and share it with all of you as sort of a follow-up to that. So Greedfall, of course, a single-player RPG that is going to be coming out. When is the release date again? It's not too far off, but
it's in September.
That's what I thought. I just didn't want to say it. Yeah, so it's coming out in September. That's right. Yeah,
less than a month away.
Less than a month away. So it's kind of a colonial era single player RPG where you go to this island.
Not to be confused with the Amazon colonial RPG.
Yeah,
MMO. Again.
So we got some we got some info about some of the factions, and they did a little feature on the importance of companions and sort of the political, dealing with factions and things like that. And that's going to be an important part of this game. It's going to be how you interact with the different factions, how you interact with the companions, your dialogue choices. Almost everything you do and everything you say and what you don't say is going to affect the story of the game, the politics of the island, and how things, finally come to a head at the end of the game.
Mm-hmm.
So we can see now that at minimum, there are 5 factions. And the ones that they featured were the factions of 5 of the companions that they featured. So you've got the Nauts, which are like seafaring people. You've got the natives of the island. You've got the Bridge Alliance, Teleme, and the Coin Guard. Now, we don't know a ton about all of these, but we saw a little bit of them. The Coin Guard are,
They're clearly the ones guarding the coins. So
that would make sense.
If you need coins, I would surmise that if you followed them under cover of darkness, you probably get access to some pretty coins.
I wonder if I wonder if they're like a banking faction or something, or like a trader faction. One of the companions is a Coin Guard mercenary. Then there's like the Teleme. I'm not sure who they are exactly, but the companion who's part of that faction is like a really old, a fairly old guy who wears a ton of armor. Like it looks like he's like an official guard of some kind. And then, your Bridge Alliance companion is a scientist. Then you have, of course, the natives of the island, and then the Nauts. So you're going to have all of these different factions with their competing interests. Some are going to be allied with each other, some are going to be enemies of each other, and this is really going to affect how you play the game, because as you're bringing companions along with you, and your companions, they have quests, they help you with stuff, they help you with combat, but they all have their own interests. And so if you're friendly, say, with a faction that one of your companions really hates, or is the enemy of their faction, that's going to affect how things go, and your companions can actually affect how your dialogue goes. They can interrupt dialogue and initiate combat. They can, they might interject something that causes negotiations to break down if you're not careful. So you're going to have to watch who you bring with you on certain missions. You're going to have to be careful what you do, because your companions will have reactions to what you do. So, if they get pissed off at you, they might just up and leave. They also all have their own personal quests that they'll want you to help them with, and if you ignore those for too long, they might up and leave as well. That might cause them to leave the party. And you'll have there are relationship levels with each companion. So, like, at first, they might be suspicious of you, and then as they grow to trust you a little more, it grows to friendly. It can grow all the way up to a romantic relationship in some cases. And there's friendship bonuses for each companion, so you get a bonus if you're friendly with some of the companions. So you'll have to make some choices, though, because you can only bring 2 companions with you in your party, and then you'll equip them however you get to choose how to equip them. I hope there's some kind of auto-equip function, because I hate messing around with all that, but if you really want to customize what equipment your companions have, you can do that, and you'll want to make sure, you're giving them equipment that plays to their strengths, and so that, they're not getting penalties, all that typical RPG stuff. So yes. Anyway, it looks really cool. It looks like companions are hugely important, though, and your relationship with factions is going to be hugely important. What I'm curious about is the combat. I want to see more of the combat and how that works.
Yeah, and we're going to see that with this next info dump, with the trailer coming out. Can't wait for it. We're going to have, obviously, we're going to be going through it frame by frame many times, as well as watching it. We're probably going to try and record or live stream our initial reaction to all this footage coming out, so it's going to be pretty cool. And we're down to just basically a week now, or a little less at this point. So yeah, really excited. Can't wait. This is going to be pretty cool.
I have the September 10th is Greedfall release date.
Yeah. Oh yes. Sorry.
Were you talking about? Were you back talking about Cyberpunk there?
Yeah. Sorry, I was looking at my notes wrong here. So no, the Greedfall is a game that I'm looking forward to filling the gap between this one and that next one. So, so we've got Greedfall coming out here within the next month, and we're really looking forward to keeping us busy because we were going to be playing something in September, but something just got in the way, and so yes, we're not doing that anymore. So we're going to be doing something else. So it looks like that's going to be Greedfall. And again, really excited for it. And then yes, next week we have Cyberpunk. So this is gonna be great. Sorry, I forgot to lead in with that. I had my mic muted there for a bit. So
okay. All right, and finally we have some games that you requested info on, and some of them had some info available, some of them did not. Witchfire. Couldn't find anything. Couldn't find anything new. It doesn't seem to have any presence at Gamescom at all.
We will have new stuff on Witchfire when they put it out. Right now, they have not been at any of the major cons, conventions, game shows, nothing. It's been dead quiet. Nothing's changed since last time we updated on that front. So,
all right. Some of you were asking about Dying Light 2. Now, it doesn't really look like they have anything coming out of Gamescom, but there's going to be an extended gameplay reveal on August 26th. And that's going to be at 11 a.m. Pacific time, 8 p.m. Central European Summer Time. So it looks like they're putting off talking about the game, during Gamescom at all, but on the 26th, there will be an extended gameplay reveal. Also, apparently the game... Well, one thing did come out of Gamescom. Dying Light 2 will support NVIDIA ray tracing. It's one of the games that was announced on the list of games that is supporting ray tracing on their newer cards.
Great.
All right, and Stalker 2. Not a ton of news. There's rumors that it might be an Epic exclusive, but there's nothing official on that. There's really no other news that's come of it. Now, someone asked on our Discord server, what are the Stalker 2 devs doing at Gamescom? So, does that mean they're at Gamescom?
Probably gathering up a lot of things. And I know you hate it when I say that, but they're gathering up stuff, okay? They've got stuff on the brain, they got some stuff here and stuff there, and they're working on some other stuff here and some other stuff there. So obviously a little hard to quantify that properly, but they're working on stuff and it's gonna be cool. So
yeah, but bottom line, we don't really know.
All right. No, they haven't made any confirmation anywhere yet.
Homeworld. Now, there's going to be some kind of a special announcement on August 30th during the Gearbox main theater show at PAX West. And I believe it's the 20th anniversary of the original Homeworld or something like that. So we might be looking at a new Homeworld game being announced. But
that would be amazing. I've been looking forward to that. I liked the first one. The second one had some control issues for me personally, but I've really liked that series for a long period of time. So.
So anyway, that's at 1:30 p.m. Pacific time at PAX West on August 30th. Some kind of announcement. The Homeworld Twitter account announced that there would be an announcement, but that's all we have on that one. And then Mount and Blade 2 Bannerlord. After 8 years of development, the game is coming to Steam Early Access in March of 2020. And why are they going with Early Access after they've been developing it so long? Well, apparently, according to the CEO, it's about testing systems.
That sounds like a great idea.
It does seem. Yeah. Apparently, there's it's such an ambitious game. The quote is here that we can test one path quite easily, but with a game as ambitious as Bannerlord, we need to test and check out maybe a million different paths. So. Anyway, that's what we know.
Yep.
That's what we know. All right.
Makes sense.
So, that is all we have for tonight. Been a longer than average show, but
yeah,
it's been a lot of fun. We've covered so many topics.
Thank
you all so much for sticking with us through all of this. Hope we answered most of your questions. Hope that it was a good show for you. We've been prepping all day, so I know there was a lot of info, and occasionally we can't recall all the info off the top of our heads. Kind of one of the hazards of doing a live show, but we do love interacting with the chat and having you be a part of this with us. So we really appreciate you tuning in. Thank you so much for supporting this show. Don't forget to slam that like button before you leave, and also that notification bell is pretty important on YouTube these days, so definitely subscribe and hit that notification bell. And I also want to thank our Patreon supporters, Old Man Manson and Sean, our big damn heroes over on Patreon, and we've got two anonymous supporters at that level as well. Our channel members, Captain Dammit, Jason Cropper, Mr. Pazdziernik, Jer Schultz, Game Notes, Paul Young, and Night City Punk. And if you are listening after the fact on SoundCloud, iTunes, Spotify, or any of the other platforms this podcast goes out to, we appreciate your interactions on those platforms as well. And also, don't forget, you can join the live show on Wednesday nights and Saturday mornings, where you can interact with us or other listeners, be part of the discussion, and sometimes, when we have shows like today where we're showing screenshots, you'll be able to see those as we're discussing them. See the Discord server for exact times and schedule. The Augmented Reality Podcast is a presentation of the Triple S League. Check out our YouTube channel for game guides, reviews, comedy, news updates, and tons more quality gaming content. My name is Ashenity, and on behalf of Subsidian, thank you all so much for listening. We'll talk to you again very soon.